everybody. So since you've got the resident knowledge with regards to the tech side, what you need to know, what are your information requirement data points?
Mm-hmm.
You capture that, maybe either collectively, I'm willing to throw some money at it if we need to, but building an app that facilitates the quick, accurate collection of data and then dissemination, I think would make everybody, would you agree? Right.
And also
Make
the
everybody
points where
life
photos
easier.
are needed,
Yeah.
Or what?
where the pictures are needed.
Oh,
so-
pictures are really, really valuable. And
That's
I'll
what,
tell
that's
you,
what I'm saying,
you know, when I'm sitting down doing an engineering analysis, as long as I have the information to do it with, it's not a, you know, I don't get anxiety about doing that. Because I understand what the process is and how to fix things as we go on, blah, blah, blah. You know what really makes me nervous about this kind of stuff is, and I've been through this before, and this is why I'm saying it from experience, is when we go demonstrate a new piece of power quality gear somewhere. And we've done the analysis, we got all of our materials together, we got everything ready, we're going out on a trip to get this thing installed, and we're gonna hook up equipment to monitor its performance, blah, blah, blah. It's what can go wrong at the installation site that I can't fix while I'm there. That makes me really nervous. Because I've been delayed on jobs because of this. I've had jobs shut down because somebody didn't do what they were supposed to.
I mean, see,
I've
I
had
just naturally assume that.
Jobs to go south because the equipment we were installing didn't work when we fired it up. You know, these are all
Murphy's Law.
things that
Murphy's Law,
can
I
really,
accept.
really come back and
Murphy's
screw
Law.
your day up. You know? And it's bad because you're messing around with the customer's site.
Right.
You know, and then you gotta figure out how to explain to the customer that something went wrong, blah, blah, blah. And why would you think that something as simple as an SP1000 can cause you those kind of problems? It can.
So we have, it's a really good idea that you mentioned that, and I'll volunteer,
Because we're talking about installs. I just wanna
work or
mention.
resources, whatever. We have a deal with this company in San Mateo called Caspio, founded by an Iraqi gentleman, very smart guy. The company's now, I think it was just listed as one of the top, fastest growing companies in Silicon Valley. That's not the point. Anyway, the point is that they have a platform as a service offering that allows you to build, you know, really any kind of solution, workflows, iOS or Android based, information capture devices, you know, really any kind of solution in sort of a non-code environment. A lot of it's click and drag, a lot of it's non-HTML based instructions or heuristics or decision rules based coding. And we do, and our portfolio companies and we as a consulting business do them all the time. It's extremely cheap. It's priced based on volume, not based on the build. So it's not like you'd need to pay a developer a few $1,000s to build the wireframe for it. You would just pay for what you use in terms of bandwidth. And we can, whatever, amongst all of us, I can facilitate the process to bring that expertise that we have developing these solutions to bear, because what you just described is really valuable and it's super easy to do. It's basically user data fields. It's building a sequence of steps that triggers workflow prompts for like emails, for alerts, for, you know, countdown of days where you set something to expire in 3 days, and if it hasn't happened, somebody gets alerts.
For
These things are
milestones, all that stuff.
all super easy to do. And Caspio, among a handful of tools, gives you a platform as a service way of doing it in such a way where you're not incurring actual development fees. You're just paying, you know, typically $30-40 a month
Usage
for the
fees.
running of that platform.
Usage fees, yes.
Yeah, usage fees.
CASPIO?
Yeah, it's based on the Caspian. It's named after the Caspian Sea. Caspio, CASPIO.com. Could be CaspioSolutions.com. I'm not sure right now.
I'll check it out.
But, you know, we can talk about this over email, and if we want to do that, because I think it's a really good idea, I'm happy to help from the solution side, help shape that.
Okay, I think we should brainstorm about that, and I'll get with Philip about what that looks like, and on the engineering part, and formulating it and writing it, what it would be. And
Yeah.
then we can all decide what the value is and how everybody wants to participate in it.
Yeah, I've been involved in similar projects
The content can get defined, but the build-out is actually really
I
straightforward.
think the content is straightforward, that's why I was saying, the
Yeah.
content is straightforward.
Yeah, we're trying to
Any, you know, so like for example, if I say, describe load, you know,
Yeah.
and I put, you know, one of the drop downs and I select, you know, water pump, right?
Right.
How many horsepower?
Right.
Or for example, take a picture if
Right.
available of the,
upstream panels or the transformers.
or take a picture.
You
of
can't
the-
get everything in there,
The
but you can
readout
get a
on the,
lot of
on
it
the,
in there.
on the, like the engine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff, because my
Depends on how
first
flexible
walkthrough,
the
I
app
was
is.
sitting going,
We'll make,
Right,
oh, there's a pool.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
there's
And
a
you end up,
bikini.
and you end up describing things in prose, whereas you could very easily make them, you know, systemize them in such a way where you're doing them in drop downs or, you know, whatever else.
Right, okay.
okay, we'll work on that. That's a great idea. Thank you for that.
Okay, let's see. It's like I didn't, maybe I only had two things to say here.
Well, that, I think it's a continuation.
It's abstract.
Yeah, kind of preparation. Yeah, I was anticipating adding on other things, but these 2 points are fairly self-explanatory. I just put this diagram in there because this is one of the pages out of the installation book. But, you know, and I've read this manual from cover to cover. And there's a lot of things in here I'd like to see improved to help the field. And you know, this is strictly designed to
Steve can come up with
introduce the installer to what's going on, and there's not a whole lot of applications information in here. You know, Connie and I were talking about developing a resource for installers, salespeople, people doing troubleshooting, because that's going to have to be handled in power quality. You better get used to that. You know, a guide to a successful SP1000 installation or something that you could even put that into an app if you wanted to. Display information for you. And there's going to be a number of things you have to deal with to make sure that the installation gets complete.
Right.
You know, if you go in and install 50 of these in the building and 10 of them have some kind of a problem, you know, we all need to know about that, and we need to make sure we're handling these different types of situations properly as we go along. Communications, CTs, we've been through some of that. And there's other things too. But now this one is, I want to just show this to demonstrate that, you know, the reason why the installation point is so critical, because the size of these cables and what's upstream and what's downstream significantly affects how this performs in the circuit. With your installation point being close to the load, it needs to be here or perhaps over here on this side. Because you've got transformer impedance effects to deal with, you've got conductors of varying lengths and sizes, and in a lot of these big buildings you have multiple conductors, like that transfer switch I just showed you in the earlier diagram. Each phase had 8 conductors about this size on each phase. And each one of those conductors would have to be included in an analysis, because the effects of that inductance combined with this affects how this reacts and performs in the system, which dictates you want to put this SP1000 in the right location. I mean, we're not going to start measuring inches, but we want to get it as close to as possible where it can give us the maximum benefit for the type of reactive power swings we expect in the plant. Come in, come in.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Tom?
Hey guys,
I'm not sure
sorry.
you've met everybody.
I'm Tom,
This
by the
is
way.
Tom, Steve,
Hey, Tom.
Mike Moyer,
Hi,
you
Mike.
met
Tom.
Mike.
Thanks for having us.
And I'll kind of give you an idea where everybody's from. Nusser, they work mostly in Dubai, that area,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Wonderful.
And you met Mike's dad.
And me. Actually, I met
And
him
you
last time we were out
Ohio,
here
Moyer,
briefly.
And then Steve's in Puerto Rico, Colombia.
Well, I envy you weather, let me tell
Yeah.
you. Anyway, welcome. If you guys need anything, just
Thank you.
give a holler.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very
having us.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
So that's just a very simple graphic that explains some of the reasons why we're concerned about the installation points and the size of what we put here. And of course, you know, the piece that probably carries the heaviest weight is how the load reacts. What happens when you turn the load on in terms of startup and steady state conditions? What kind of reactive power does the load require? What kind of fluctuations does it present to the system? Because the system has to be able to flex a lot to be able to stay online and provide the power as necessary. And we want the SP1000 applications to get along with that flexing. We want to control that flexing more so than what has been done in the past with a lot of these systems. So you saw this earlier, managing our reactive power, whatever kind of situation we're involved in doing that, so that we don't present such a reactive power requirement back to the utility, forcing them to deliver power that was of no use to anybody. So you can have installation points in any of these places. This D means disconnect, J means a junction box. This is the SP1000. I can put the key up there for that. So there's lots of options for doing this, and the what we call the frequency response of the system, which is defined by how the system's wired together and what kind of wire you use and all that, defines how we expect and predict the SP1000s to work. Because we're at the mercy of that. You can't change that. We're not going to rewire the building to get a better result. So the only option we have is to put these at the right places and size them. I mean, they're not every application. The computer may tell us that we need 12 kVArs, but we can't get that. The most we can get is 10 or whatever. Or it may tell us we need 24 here. Well, we do 2 10s or maybe a 10 and a 17 or whatever.
Philip, how big are what's the tolerance for overcapacitance? If that's a 12, then I can either do a 10 or a 17. Is the 5 kVAR over
Yeah,
overcorrection?
you're saying, when do we get into an overcompensation?
Is that too much? Yeah.
Well, it just, we have to look at the results of the computer. It will tell us how much, on the average, based on the load fluctuations, how much overcompensation we can deal with at a particular point before we start affecting the voltage. I mean, if we have overcompensation in too many places, the voltage on the whole system is going to creep up into a danger point.
Yeah.
Power guidelines, oops, I left out the voltage connections. Connie was rushing me, so. That's a simple one anyway, so we'll just draw it up here.
Is there, the bills are large,
Okay.
so if you have Dropbox, just invite me to one of the folders and just mark it as. So just create a folder, invite me to it, and then I'll drop stuff to it. That's an easier way of sharing stuff rather than emailing it to you, because they're large files.
You didn't do your welcome for this section yet. We're on day 2 and you haven't done your,
Oh, no, we're not on day 2 yet.
are you sure? It looks like we are.
No, we are, you're still on.
Because we're on voltage
You're on-
connections, I'm preparing for
you're on-
SP1000s.
Oh, yeah. No,
Like
we're
you're
not.
getting-
No, we're not. We're still on 315 on.
Philip, you
day
No, we're
speeding
not.
right along? Are we doing really well?
No, we're right here on voltage
Where are
connections.
we?
Yeah, I think we're doing really
one.
well.
Where are we on
I think
here?
you are too.
Towards the bottom.
We're at
Okay,
905.
but are we
I haven't
on
looked at it in a while.
the
I'm telling you.
installation points yet?
Go do
Because
your-
we need to cover that.
I get so many questions, I can't manage too many
Do my
things.
You did installation
No.
first.
Yeah, you need to welcome us 5 minutes ago. We're on the second day.
What operation are you guys running?
Are we already on the second day?
Yeah.
No, we're not.
No, we're not
You
yet.
steamrolled
You
right
just
past
did
implementation.
preparing for SP1000 installations, and now we're on voltage connections and CT installations.
You're right, we are.
Yay,
Okay.
'cause we need to get
So
through the
welcome
second
us.
day.
Okay.
I welcome you.
Welcome
I
us.
welcome
Can we do introductions real
I-
quick?
Yeah. would
Wow,
you-
last night was great.
What was?
You guys really overdid it.
As usual.
What they do, the gables and locks?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So for the SP1000 to work, we gotta pick up 2 things. We gotta pick up the voltage and the current. Okay, the voltage is always the easy one because that's just the potential thing. So we either go to a breaker, as you've seen in the manual, pick it up through a 38 breaker or whatever size is necessary for that particular SP1000, or we go straight to the bus or straight to the main or whatever. We even go straight to the load or to the disconnect at the load. But It takes both, and the current is gonna be the one that always gives us the problem. Because we need to measure, you know, what's going on the circuit where we're monitoring the circuit associated with that particular correction point. And like Hamid pointed out yesterday, and it happens over and over and over again, even to people who it shouldn't happen to, is you get A, B, and C backwards. So, or A, B, and C here backwards. And then the system's not going to work right, it's going to give you funky numbers. And just because you think of it like this, A, B, and C doesn't mean really that's the way it is. It doesn't matter as long as everything's consistent. That's what they teach you in engineering school, is consistency is important. Because truly, you know, the utility back up here, they have this clearly defined. They may be running on an ABC rotation or a BCA or a CAB or whatever it is they're running. It doesn't matter. But as long as whatever's called A, B, and C is consistent throughout the entire plant, there's a meter you can put on and you can figure out what kind of rotation some motors. It's really important to identify that. If you get these backwards, like if this is A and this is A here instead of this being A up here, then you're going to get weird results. And the direction, of course, of the CT, and I'll put that up on the screen because I've got that. So CTs, again, the voltage is just a touch point potential. As long as we're securely anchored into the bus, we're going to get the right readings. But the CT is an isolated way of measuring AC currents because we can't, it's too expensive to break into the circuit and insert a device to actually measure the current. So we magnetically determine what the current is by using rules of thumb. Because essentially what we're doing based on transformers is we're taking a current, okay, flowing through a piece of wire, and we're wrapping a couple of coils around it. And if this current's fluctuating, then the voltage right here will also fluctuate. So we relate this to that, and by this we can tell how much current's flowing in the circuit. That's what a CT does. Now, there's different types of CTs. There's the solid ones, there's the ones that come with the SP1000 that have a hinge or a break in the CT, and you just open it up. It's always best for the SP1000s to work with the split core CTs, and of course there's a core in here, a magnetic core, and then there's a piece of wire wrapped around this that you can't see, and then that's where you connect it to the SP1000. And this is what I mean by all that. So here's your core, here's your wire, you're trying to measure the current through. When the current flows through here that's oscillating, you get a voltage across here, and that voltage is dependent on how many turns of wire you have wrapped around this core. Okay, that's the basic rule of thumb. That's really all you need to know. But this is a picture of the CTs that are used with the SP1000s. Connie, are the large and smallest CTs look just like this? I know the small ones do. I'm not sure what the large ones.
Yeah, they look pretty much.
So it's just the diameter of the hole, but see, in sizing a CT, I don't remember what size these are in terms of current, but there's a situation that we want to avoid. We want to avoid under-reading or saturating. In other words, if we have a big wire, you don't have much current flow through it, and we put a CT around it, we want to make sure we're getting enough signal out of it that the SP1000 can interpret that. I'll have to talk to Mid how he handles that, about how he handles that. The other situation which you more often run into is you have a lot of current flowing through the wire and the CT gets saturated. In other words, let's just go to the slide. So this is our resultant output on the CT. This is the current we're trying to measure. So if our CT collapses, we're not gonna get the right current signal fed back into the instrumentation of the SP1000. And then that will give us erroneous results. There's a data sheet on the CT, and then these curves describe how the CT reacts to different levels of current. And there's a resistor called the burden resistor that you can put in to compensate for some of those saturation effects. Well, internal to the SP1000, I think it's a 7.5 ohm burden resistor that's already built into the unit. So anything you put in parallel with that would only be adding to, essentially, to that resistance, which takes you away from the saturation point. I know some of this is probably too technical, but
Quick break.
There's a quick break.
My
Can we
head
have-
just
Can we
exploded.
have, Darren had a, can we take a quick break?
yeah, I'm ready.
Well,
Refresh a little bit.
Well,
And plus we're trying to.
the lunch is in 2 hours.
hold on, seriously, process check. If we get through the installations, which is 9:05 to 10:05, then doesn't that leave just all spider stuff for tomorrow?
Yes,
It's not a bad thing, is it?
no, that's what we want.
We're there.
Yeah, we want all spider to submit has to be out by 12.
So we're there now. We just have maybe 1 or 2 pages left of
Right.
Sorry I
installation
was
stuff.
going so fast.
I have to be out
Well,
by
that's
Beat
12.
me up because we're
I
going
was
too slow.
beating you up.
Well, yeah, that works.
Yeah, no, it's
Because then we
perfect.
start spider at 9:05,
Yeah.
which we just did now.
Right. Yeah, I'm not mad. I just, he started talking CT and he flashed something up there with a whole
When he
bunch
said
of words
ohms.
on it. And I went,
Point out,
oh. Didn't you see me over here? It was like, I was like, oh.
I guess the Boston point I'm making is, do we let him take a break now, or do we just push through the final 2 or 3 slides?
Oh, throw it all on me. Do we let him take a break now?
You're the one that got up and interrupted Philip.
I let him finish his sentence.
Right, 10-minute break because this guy's trying
I
to.
would
get
say there
this
was
done.
3 people behind you that weren't paying attention anyways.
10 minutes.
You were the only one listening anymore. I was trying very hard to, but I just couldn't
This,
understand anything.
this
he
topic
said.
is very dear to my heart.
I was sitting there.
Yeah. So it is to mine too, because I've been through the same thing.
Yeah.
I was,
Same
well, because
things.
you're dealing with this right now, right? I was just getting mad because I thought they were the only ones that were understanding the presentation, because all of a sudden he switched it over from English to Arabic, and I was like, this isn't fair.
Right. Well, Lisa hasn't
I
let
didn't
us hear a
what
word.
he said for the last 3 minutes.
Lisa hasn't said a word because she's texting everybody.
This is a CT, you know. Right?
What's that?
This is a CT.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the.
Yeah.
You would never be able to measure it if it didn't have that opening in it. And of course, when it
Right.
closes, it makes the magnetic connection. You know, and if you close it
Okay, you have to show me where you put it.
with something in the way, you're going to get a wrong result. It's not closed all the way.
Right.
And
You
when
don't
I,
get there.
when I install CTs,
Oh, wow.
these have locks on them,
On this
which
one, this-
Right.
I'm not all that comfortable with.
But no, you're
It's
taking
okay.
it off
Now, if
here,
you don't get
right?
that lock closed,
Into
you're
the
gonna get the wrong
shouldn't
result.
be that.
When I install CTs that have openings in them in the field, I put a cable tie right here, so that I know that that CT's gonna stay closed. That I'm not gonna get a phone call one day that says, we got 900 amps flowing through here, but it's only indicating 50. That's because you got a gap in the CT.
Alright, that's
Well,
right.
that's a circuit too, it just has to be completed in order to work.
Oh, you're in charge of that?
What?
Making sure there's a bracket around.
Connie's in charge of that. That's for a permanent installation, but when you go out and use this in the field and you're working it around wires and stuff,
Didn't I just tell you? I
be
did?
sure that this gets closed
I'm good at that.
before you take a measurement.
Okay. Yes.
Because if
Yes.
it's like that, you're gonna get the wrong number. So
Okay.
you really can't, and I always, if I can, I get my hand in there and make sure it's closed before I have faith in the number.
Okay.
Because he can be just a hair off.
On the analysis.
And give you the wrong number.
I like the point is maybe everybody has
What?
an iPad that looks on.
It can be developed, you can choose the platform, you can do it more, design it so it works on every platform, you can design it so it works on iOS, Android devices, browser, whatever. That's just a choice you make in the tool. You know, and we would just need to all figure out if, you know, so all of us can use it, are we all gonna share the cost of it? It's not, it's a nominal cost, it's still use. The actual cost of the service itself.
So